Sebastian and Aprilia are two struggling artists who fall for each other. As they struggle with financial issues, their love is tested every time someone wants a piece of them. Sebastian joins a man on the streets playing violin for the crowd. The music he plays is mesmerizing, but he gets distracted by a woman, Aprilia. When Aprilia leaves, Sebastian packs up his instrument and follows her. Aprilia looks for something in a drawer, but a man with a gun finds her. She starts laughing because the actor playing the villain touched her again. The director, Paul, decides to change the scene and asks Aprilia to turn around when she spots the man. He then asks the actor to point the gun to her belly. He asks him to get closer to her face to make it seem like he's either going to kill her or kiss her. He asks Aprilia to look scared and begins shooting the scene again. The actor does exactly as Paul told him, but Aprilia asks to cut the scene. She asks the man to move away and complains about his breath to Paul. In her vanity van, Paul reminds her to come for dinner. She refuses, but Paul doesn't give her an option. Known for being one of the most talented Romanian violinists, Sebastian plays for the radio. The talk show host asks about his plans for Christmas. Sebastian claims there's no one special in his life, and he will spend the holidays alone. When he begins quoting a famous author, Aprilia asks her assistant to turn up the volume. She hears him explaining that he wants the listeners to find the one person who will look with them towards the same future. Sebastian finds Aprilia browsing through books and decides to enter the store. He overhears as she fights with Paul on the phone. She refuses to dine with him and his mother again, and claims she will pick up her clothes. She cuts the call, but gets irritated when he keeps calling back. She notices Sebastian looking at her and bumps into a shelf while trying to get away from another call. Sebastian helps her pick up Santa and the other books that have fallen. He asks if she's an actress and suggests she can pick up the call of the desperate man trying to reach her. He jokes about how rude it is to dump a man right before Christmas. She reminds him it's not polite to eavesdrop. When he invites her to his concert, she feels like he might lose his mystery. They blush as they maintain eye contact, and he asks her not to pick up the call this time. He invites her over to his place for tea. She finds it funny that he heard a stranger breaking up and is inviting her over. He thinks she will come with him because she'll keep wondering what could have happened if she doesn't. She knows he's a smooth talker, but isn't convinced. She seems interested when he mentions food and insists that she should come with him. As Paul realizes she's not coming for dinner, Aprilia starts bonding with Sebastian. They are distracted with each other, and she keeps ignoring Paul's call. With time, Aprilia attends Sebastian's concerts and is passionate with him at home. They get closer and love spending time with each other. Paul decides to remove Aprilia as the leading actress from his movie and cast someone else. This doesn't stop Sebastian and Aprilia, who continue to be passionate with each other. 1 year later, Sebastian tries to lovingly wake Aprilia up in the morning. She works as Snow White at a toy store. He reminds her that her 7 dwarfs are waiting for her. She is exhausted and refuses to wake up. She feels very cold and doesn't want to work. He teases her and takes off her socks to tickle her. When she's laughing and wide awake in bed, he reminds her of the time and asks her to get ready. As Aprilia kisses him and leaves for work, Sebastian notices a little boy trying to clear snow from a woman's car. The woman, Irina, recognizes Sebastian as the man who does wonders with his violin. She and her husband can hear him play from their house, and they love it. They have many composer and producer friends who always praise Sebastian. She hopes for an invitation to his next concert, but he knows that might not be for a while. He seems to be struggling with work, but Irina asks him to drop the formalities with her. She invites him over for dinner the next day, and he agrees to be polite. The same little boy asks if he can clear the snow from Sebastian's sidewalk. Sebastian likes snow the way it is, so the boy asks him to teach him the violin. The boy doesn't know where his dad is, and his mom is in Spain. He lives in Rome with his aunt and his little sister. He begs Sebastian to give him a chance. Sebastian doesn't agree to anything, but smiles at him. Aprilia as Snow White tells her dwarfs, or the little children, a tale about Prince Sebastian falling asleep in a dark forest with his violin. He attracted the fireflies, who were fascinated by the handsome man holding the violin. When he began to play the violin, colorful musical notes bobbed up. Her boss, Robert, interrupts the session. He informs the kids that the green leaf elf is handing out toys to anyone who can stay quiet in the sleigh. Robert jokes about the kids becoming arsonists and serial murderers after listening to her tales. He claims such stories influenced him in some way at school, but he mostly developed a crush on Red Riding Hood. He asks for her plans after work, but she was going to ask him to let her leave early. She has an audition for a leading role, and this team seems to want her. Robert has heard her say this before and asks if they can grab something to eat. He even wants to take her for a dance after that, but Aprilia makes it clear that Sebastian is waiting for her at dinner. The landlady, Mrs. Adamscu, comes over to ask Sebastian for rent, but he doesn't have any money. He points out that the bathroom pipes need fixing, but she doesn't think he should expect so much with no money. He assures her he will give the money once he wins the contest. He claims he needs to rehearse to win it and asks her for time. She makes it clear she will throw him out if he doesn't pay on time. Aprilia gives an impressive audition, but the director needs her to fix things with Paul if she wants the role. He explains that Paul has connections with everyone in the industry. She refuses to talk to Paul because of the way he has mishandled her. The director refuses to give her the role if she doesn't, because Paul is co-producing the film. She shows Paul the middle finger while he's sitting in the stands. She takes her stuff and leaves after throwing a bottle at him. As Aprilia walks on the street, she gets sad when she spots a happy couple picking out a ring. People running towards her drop her bag, and her phone gets destroyed. She tries to move on, but a lady keeps asking her for money. She doesn't have any, and continues walking on the road. Sebastian finds her after searching for hours and kisses her. He has been worried about her, and wonders where she has been. Aprilia is speechless, and doesn't say anything. When he asks about her phone, she shows him that it's broken. He claims the phone doesn't matter since she is safe, but he asks about her audition, and if she did well. From her expression, he can tell Paul interfered again. He gets angry and hits the bench with his boot. He tears it, and she starts crying on the bench. He reminds her that things are fine because they love each other. To humor her, he throws the boots in the air and causes a power outage. This makes her laugh, and she starts running while he chases her. She throws her boots too, but he picks them up as he closes in. His feet feel numb, so Aprilia tries to help him find sensation. He loves how worried she is for him, and starts flirting with her. She realizes what he's doing, and they start making love. Irina and her husband watch them from the window, and use binoculars to get a better look at them having sex. While cleaning the house the next morning, Aprilia and Sebastian start dancing around and having fun. Robert stares at Aprilia as she looks around a store, and is unable to buy an expensive dress she likes. Mrs. Adamscu asks Sebastian if he actually has talent, or just carries a violin. She thinks if he's any good, he should be able to earn more. He claims the crisis had an impact on art, which is why he is struggling. She informs him about meeting Paul the other day, who wants their apartment. He is willing to pay anything, so she throws him out and brings in other tenants. Sebastian thinks she's asking them to vacate the place, but she claims she asked Paul to leave. Paul told her about the history he has with Aprilia, and how he knows she and Sebastian are broke. She claims their love story and the sacrifices they have made for each other inspire her. But she thinks she should throw them out since Sebastian is not related to her in any way. Sebastian promises to give her the money when he has it. It has never been about the money for her, and she asks him to understand this. She thinks if he loves Aprilia, he should be able to sacrifice for her. She asks him to come by her place and sleep with her if he doesn't want to get thrown out. He keeps insisting he will come when he has the money, but she wants a different kind of settlement from him. Paul finds Aprilia at her workplace and asks for her forgiveness. She turns away from him, but he claims he has a new script for her. He thinks it's perfect, but only gets her attention when he mentions he spoke to her mother. Aprilia doesn't have a phone anymore, so she keeps calling Paul to ask about her. He knows she's resisting, but asks her to just give her opinion on the script. She takes it from him and walks away. The little boy from the streets comes over to Sebastian's place for his lesson with his sister, Clara. He knows Clara will keep making noises and disturb them unless someone gives her sweets. The boy doesn't have a violin and tries to use Sebastian's. He asks him to keep it away, since the boy has no idea about music. Sebastian finds a solution and brings his old violin for the little boy to learn with. Robert finds Aprilia trying to read the script at work. She knows she's not supposed to, but he doesn't mind because the mall is busy. He asks what she's doing the next day after work, but she gets irritated. She feels there are so many other girls and doesn't understand his obsession with her. He claims his fiancée, Julia, is her size, and he wants Aprilia's help to buy something for her. Aprilia warms up to him after hearing this. He jokes about finding Julia because he needed a few months after April to forget about her. At dinner with their neighbors, Irina discusses Sebastian's work with him and urges him to record something good. Aprilia also shares stories about her acting career with her husband. Irina heads to the kitchen to get more dressing, while her husband goes for more wine. Aprilia shows Sebastian the nude erotic paintings on their walls, which they both find very funny. She asks Sebastian to keep his voice down as he laughs. They're planning to steal some bites for home, because they rarely get such a great meal. They find the binoculars, and know they have been spying on them through the window. Sebastian asks her to imagine the free shows they must have given them. When the couple gets back, Sebastian and Aprilia thank them for the great evening. They try to leave, but Irina suggests they should watch the move, to paint or make love. Aprilia gets nervous and refuses to stay, and claims she has an early morning. They agree to do this another time, and invite them over for later. When they're home, Aprilia finds it funny that a pervert like her has such an amazing dress. She explains that she wanted to leave early because of the movie they suggested. The film is about a couple who meets another younger couple. After that, they all have sex with each other. Sebastian understands why she was uncomfortable, but they both find their neighbors funny. Aprilia also decides to stand by the window to let them know they're onto them. The landlady keeps forcing Sebastian to come over to her place. He claims he doesn't have money yet, but she gives him an hour and promises to find a solution together. Paul dresses up as a storytale character to meet Aprilia at work again. He wants to come into her world and apologize if she doesn't listen. She claims this is only a temporary job because he's making it difficult for her to get a real one. He thinks she is perfect to play the lead role in his new film and begs her to reconsider. He even gives her a new phone so her mother stops calling him. She refuses to take it, but he claims it's not a present, but a way for her to contact him and her mother. Sebastian is about to turn around from Mrs. Adamscu's place when she opens the door. Aprilia reads the rest of the script during lunch with Paul and thinks it's perfect. He wrote the role with her in mind. He claims he doesn't want to fight with her and admits he did some horrible things because he was afraid of losing her. He admits he loved her very much, which is why it was difficult to accept that it's over. Mrs. Adamscu has had enough experience of life and knows Sebastian just has a few good years because of his looks. She thinks the debts and hunger will soon catch up to him if he doesn't make a decision to improve his life. She feels he's imagining her as an old cow who's hitting on him. He jokes about thinking he left the oven on in his apartment, but he admits he is afraid of her hitting on him and wants to get away from this situation, but instead of a cow, he thinks of Mrs. Adamscu as a spider who is making him feel like a mosquito caught in her web. She likes his analogy, but knows resisting won't solve anything for him. She claims she's trying to save his relationship with Aprilia. She feels if he rejects her, she will throw them out in the streets. She is sure their relationship won't last if they have no home. She thinks Aprilia will do something drastic to save their relationship, if not him. She feels it's better if he makes a sacrifice and sleeps with her, instead of letting Aprilia do it with someone else. Mrs. Adamscu knows she can't find true love, so she's happy with the sex and other pleasures like food and wine. Sebastian finishes his glass of champagne to face her. He claims he can't do it, and she can find other tenants for her. She thinks he can because he seems hard, but he clarifies that he has kept resin in his pocket for the violin. She cracks up because of that and hugs him for being so funny. As Paul drops her home, he claims her absence has truly changed him. She jokes about how she should have left him sooner. He stops at a little distance and checks his car for a flat tire. Aprilia finds Sebastian kissing the landlady and feels weird. She doesn't say anything to Paul and asks him to keep moving. When she gets off on her street, Aprilia notices her neighbors coming home with another couple. They seem to be getting too friendly, so she ignores and heads home. Sebastian claims he got home late because his friend, Dan, wanted to discuss love problems with him. Aprilia claims she came a while ago too, and was with Mona to discuss her love problems. Sebastian is very drunk and tries to flirt with her. He suggests setting their friends up since they might be perfect for each other. She doesn't want to get intimate with him, and makes an excuse about the bathroom. She joins Robert the next day to help him shop for his fiancée. While walking on the street, Sebastian spots the dress Irina wore. He knows Aprilia likes it, but it's too expensive. He starts playing on the street to earn more money. He gathers a huge crowd and earns some money. A cop asks him to stop playing and leave because he doesn't have authorization. A gang corners Sebastian in a dark corner and start beating him up for stealing their spot. As Sebastian gets beaten up, Aprilia tries on different dresses that she thinks look great on her. The man from the street with a dog stops the gang from beating him up. He claims Sebastian is one of them and promises he won't bother them anymore. As the others leave, he asks Sebastian to be careful. Each spot on the streets is appointed to someone, and he can't just take it. They check his violin, but are relieved to find it still in one piece. The man is worried about him and offers to let his dog, Mozart, drop him home. Mozart knows the city by heart and can easily return to him. Sebastian is grateful and leaves for home with Mozart by his side. On his way back, he tries to look for the dress, but it's missing from the mannequin. He finds Aprilia wearing it and posing in it in front of Robert. He feels disappointed and heads home with Mozart. Robert wants to eat something with her, but Aprilia insists she wants to head home. She thinks Julia is very lucky he got so much for her. Robert admits Julia isn't real. He has only loved Aprilia from the first time he saw her and can't fall for anyone else. He wants her to keep the dresses like a Christmas bonus and not feel obliged. He feels bad she's always dressed down and wonders what kind of a man Sebastian is for not buying her things. Aprilia drops the bags and claims she loves Sebastian. Robert follows her and asks her to stop. She expects him to say something, but he kisses her and keeps the bags with her before leaving. She tries to walk off, but doesn't want to leave the bags on the street and picks them up. She finds Sebastian injured when she gets home and tries to tend to his wounds. He remains silent about what happened to him. He still asks her if she won the lottery with those bags. She claims it's a long story she doesn't want to explain. Her new phone starts ringing, and it's from her mom checking up on her. But Sebastian had no idea she had a phone. She keeps asking if he fought with someone. Sebastian admits he saw her with Robert at the shop. As she was laughing, he couldn't find one trace of himself inside her. He knows he can now live without seeing her again. Aprilia feels offended when she never reacted after watching him kiss Lady Adamscu. He feels like she's justifying her actions, but she feels terrible for the way she has lived in the last 2 years. These years with Aprilia have been the best for him, but she keeps thinking she lost everything. She feels that less talented girls are getting better roles and winning awards at Cannes. She thinks she was more established before she met Sebastian, but it has all been downhill after that. She feels offended that he apparently cheated on her and doesn't trust her. When she gets a call from Paul too, Sebastian ends up laughing. He thinks she's just a beautiful girl who hooked up with a famous director. She is now his creation, and he owns her. He feels she allowed herself to pretend to be in true love for a few years, but it's over now. He asks her to leave with her bags and go to either of the men who are pursuing her. She's angry and taunts Sebastian about hoping things work better for him. Sebastian doesn't think she understands what it means to study for 10 hours a day while the other children play. He has dedicated his life to music, but all the morons are getting great concerts while he entertains Snow White. But he doesn't regret anything, like her, because he had the happiest years with her by his side. She knows he's a talented violinist and hopes the best for him. Sebastian gets angry with all the bags and throws them at her before she leaves. They both walk alone in the snow, and Aprilia finds her way to the theater. She asks Auntie Carolina about the film showing that night. Carolina informs her that the audience cheered when the actress died in the end. She asks if she can sleep at the theater that night. She claims she lost her keys, and Sebastian has a concert in London. Carolina happily lets her stay there. Sebastian also asks his uncle Costi to open the concert hall for him that night. This is the only place where he can openly be alone with his piano. Paul finds Aprilia at the theater. He has heard from Carolina that she doesn't have a place to sleep that night. Sebastian plays his violin passionately in an empty hall. He hears applause towards the end and remembers the time Aprilia used to attend his concerts. As Paul runs a shower for Aprilia at his place, he asks why she looks so sad. It's the first night she's spending away from Sebastian and doesn't know how to deal with it. Paul thinks it's only temporary till she gets back on the set the next day. He hopes she can go over her lines and feels good her hair is long. She remembers what she told Sebastian earlier about making a sweater out of her hair and leaves the house. Paul feels frustrated and asks his mom to leave him alone. As Sebastian stays awake on his couch and looks at her pictures, Aprilia tries to sleep on a public bench. The little boy wakes Aprilia up at the homeless shelter and joins her. He knows her as Sebastian's girlfriend because he has seen them together a few times. He thinks Sebastian is very kind and asks if they're having problems. He claims to understand how hard love is, since he easily falls in love with a new girl at every school. He has been to 3 schools that year itself and knows it can be tough. She wants to get some sleep because she has to start filming the next day. She agrees to let them come for her shooting, but the little boy claims they need to wait for their mother, who is coming from Spain. They have waited for 3 years on all special occasions, but she never turns up. He still asks her for the address of the shoot so they can be there. Sebastian dreams about the time he helped Aprilia shower and felt so much in love with her. The kids wait for their mother next to the bus from Spain, and finally reunite with her. Paul dismisses everyone as Aprilia enters the set. She claims she got the call sheet and is glad some shots are without the lines. She knows he's shooting from the ending first and wants to kill her off in the beginning itself. He claims she has to get a buzz cut while she's also on the final row. He insists it's his vision and she has to carry it out. If she refuses to cut her hair, he knows he can find 10 other actresses who will do it. He asks her to follow his instructions unless she wants to be Snow White in a toy store again. The little boy finds Sebastian on the streets and claims he can lead him to Aprilia. The shooting begins, and Aprilia allows a woman to chop off her hair. As her locks keep getting shorter, she remembers what Sebastian told her about her finally losing a chance at true love. She realizes how true his words were when he claimed she is Paul's creation. When all the hair is cut, she hears Sebastian playing the violin and hugs him. She asks him to forgive her, and he kisses her passionately. Sebastian finds Aprilia covered in flour and the whole kitchen in a mess. She was trying to make a sweet bread, but the instructions seem very confusing. He tastes some of the batter and claims he has never had anything better unbaked. They laugh when she realizes what he's doing, and he admits the bread is horrible. But he gives her the good news about them not needing to pay rent for the whole year. He swears he had nothing to do with it, and it just happened. They celebrate with kisses, but realize Dan and Mona have arrived at the door. Sebastian calls Dan and claims he's helping his mother with her bathroom pipe. As Aprilia continues to kiss him, he pretends to feel bad he didn't inform Dan earlier. He has cut his hair just like Aprilia's to make her feel better. He promises to meet Dan at his place soon. Irina has gathered a crowd of onlookers who want to see what's going on in Sebastian and Aprilia's house. Irina paid a whole year's rent so she can watch them having sex. They notice the flower, and Irina loves how poor and beautiful they are.